Hey butterflies, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today I'm covering King in Black, specifically the Iron Man and Doctor Doom issue. This issue is really about magic, and I'm going to focus on this one topic for today. But let me know if you'd like an explanation on the Void, because man, I have a lot to say about the Void, okay? But just to summarize what they're conveying here, magic is real, and magic starts from within, but the problem is we always look outwardly to look for magic, just naturally because that is what we're taught, especially through society and media. So it starts off with Tony's flashback when his dad tells him, if you want to let go of all the magic in the world, that's fine. Just know it'll all turn cold and gray. And that's a nice little message and all, but he's talking about the fact that Tony didn't want to believe a blatant lie. So that's basically telling him that the magic that we believe in are lies, but we can choose to intentionally sugarcoat it so that we add color to our lives, basically through rose-colored glasses, right? And of course, as kids, that's what builds onto our subconscious language and influences our adult way of thinking. So just a fair warning, I might hear some fill-ins today because we're talking about Santa Claus and Christianity. And they did it in such a way that it isn't in our face. So when Tony first says, oh right, our war on Christmas, it just made me think of the creation of the holiday in itself. There's no definitive date on when Jesus was actually born. Some sources say Easter, some say it's January. It's all speculation and assumptions. But it's interesting that it's during the winter solstice season, hibernation season, really a time to go within and reflect and be still. But society tells us go out, out, and people are overworking during the holidays, spending their last dimes on gifts, and it's just a stressful, busybody energy. Granted, that's not everybody, but there's a reason why suicide rates go up during the holidays. It's not just the material aspect, but the loneliness is heightened. And I did a video on the Hulk struggling with suicidal thoughts, and that's one thing that they mentioned there as well, so I'll link that down below. But the point is, Christmas has become a war for so many people, and the main reflection of Santa is, do you believe in magic? But it's the same thing as Tony as a kid believing a blatant lie, because we all know that it was created to market this holiday season. And if we keep asking this question looking at things externally, based off what others say it's supposed to be magical, then of course we're not going to find it because we're trying to make something real that doesn't even resonate with us to begin with. We create our own magic based off of our own levels of truth and perception. And that's one thing about religion is, if that's your sense of truth and that provides you faith and belief, then of course there's nothing wrong with that. But enter Doctor Doom, and he's the one with the undertone of challenging religion at the same time. So when Santa charges at them screaming in candy cane emojis and shit, Doom is like, well, that was profane, which means, not sacred, biblical, or religious, which is really what Christmas has become because a lot of people celebrate whether religious or not because it's like a fun gifts exchange event with pretty decorations, right? If we're fortunate enough to be able to do all that, then it's a nice vibe for the winter season. Tony is fixated on, is this really Santa or not? Because he wants a reason to believe something he thought was impossible so that he can believe in magic like his dad said. He's like, I'd like to know that the world isn't just cold and gray. I don't want to believe that it's just death and sadness and failure, because then maybe there's a chance of a way back from all of this. And that's why we're so susceptible to lies, because we keep looking every damn where else except within, right? And questioning the concepts we're told to believe is part of that process too. And I feel like this really reflects his childhood programming, because he's like, yeah, I really do want to believe this lie like my dad told me to so that everything isn't so dark. Even though they found Santa's ID and he's just a regular guy, and Doom is going through the events of how he really presented himself to be Santa, and Tony's like, well, in a world where we're overrun by black goo, is it really that preposterous? Doom is definitely ahead of the game. He's been ahead. He's like, it's simply an extraterrestrial presence. Hello. And this is what I mean by levels of truth and perception, right? Because Tony says, don't let go of all the magic in the world, Victor, because the capacity to which he can see it is it's either Santa or it's not. Kind of like the choice in religion. It's like you're either going to believe in it or you're going to be a non-believer. But what about everything in between? Doom comes across more spiritual in that sense to me because he's questioning if Santa could be a sorcerer supreme, and extraterrestrial is magic. The void is magic. Everything has a positive and negative, and he himself is a reflection of that. Is he a villain or is he a hero, right? He's the one telling Tony, listen, stop sulking over what happened because look what it has made you. Your armor on its own, it's pretty fucking underwhelming, but combined with limitless void power, that is magic. Do you not see that? And Tony is too caught up with the brainwashing of looking everywhere else but at himself And I'm sorry if I'm a broken record with this, but I cannot say it enough, okay? And in religion, it's the same thing. Worship this external force, and that's the magic in the world. Not to say that those energies are not real, but the creation of religion, that's all humans. So if you want to believe in the magic of what others created for us and it works for you, then okay. But let's not act like there's not a whole bunch of religious people who are still lost, who still feel dim within because all the possibility of magic in their life isn't something outside of them, something that they were told to do instead of doing the hard work of finding it within themselves. And it's kind of funny and ironic because in the beginning, when Tony was upset about killing Eddie, rightfully so, Doom was like, well, would you mourn me the same way? A man whom in the eyes of so many is a villain? And I did a specific video on this, which I'll link down, but it's about the blurred lines between hero, anti-hero, and villains. We've all taken turns being on all spectrums, whether intentionally or not, just on different levels, because as humans, we make mistakes. So who's to be the judge of which people are deserving of acceptance once they've evolved through their awareness into a changed person? So Tony asks him, well, was I trying to save you? And Doom says, isn't that what so many of you constantly waste your time doing? Trying to save me? And Tony says, you're right. Maybe it's time we all gave up on that. And I could not agree more, okay? It's the same concept that people can only change if they want with anything, whether that's acting right in relationships, quitting bad habits, changing your perception on anything. That's all dependent on if the person wants to. And don't get me wrong, I will never underestimate the power of planting a seed, and I will always give my input and do that. But as for trying to convince and save people, that's a whole nother story because we just deplete ourselves doing that. So the funny part to me was by the end of this, I saw that conversation in a completely different light because in religion, that's also what they do. Let us save you from yourself. The perception is that the Iron Mans of the world are trying to save the Dr. Dooms of the world. But who was the one that needed saving here? Doom is doing exactly that. He's offering his perception and advice throughout their interaction on how Tony is the magic. He's trying to show him his own power, but there's no point in him wasting his time trying to save him, okay? So here comes the quote unquote good guys, reflective of the religious, who think they're the heroes who are saving people, but they can't even save them damn selves. That's why Tony continues to believe the lies so that his world isn't all dark and gray. So you see how this all connects, right? Marvel is always questioning religion in pretty subtle ways because they probably just don't want to directly shit on anything, but more directly when it comes to Daredevil because Matt is Christian and constantly attempting to break through to discovering more of himself, but the influence of religion prevents him. And I did a pretty long analysis on the Guardian Devil issue with Mysterio speaking on the consequences of illusions and fears, which directly ties into his Christian upbringing. So I'll link that down below for anyone who's interested. So that was my take on this issue. Again, let me know if you guys would like a specific video on the concept of the void. I've actually been watching Sabrina on Netflix, and this new season particularly has the exact same thing happening. I highly recommend you guys check out the fourth season, especially the second part. That's the entity that's reflective. But anyways, thank you butterflies so much for spending your time with me today. Stay flying free, and I'll see you next time. Bye.